So the big question is this: how do most agents who struggle to get the information that most successful agents hoard to themselves grow and prosper without this information? That's the big question, and this video cast is the answer. Welcome to Real Estate Rockstars. I'm your host, Pat Hyben. Okay, Rockstar Nation, got a returning guest who is always very impressive in just the sheer numbers, the sheer exactness of how he puts himself out there and creates commissions for himself and maintains a very high profit margin among many other things. Anyways, I'm excited to get him back. I got Mr. Joseph Bird on the line. Joe, welcome home.
Thanks for having me again. I appreciate it.
Hey, why don't you give everybody a little brief rundown on yourself so they can get to know you better?
Okay. Yeah, in case you guys didn't see the last episode or listen to the last episode. So I've been in the business about 6.5 years. I've closed about 56 deals in my 6.5 year career thus far. I started off primarily as a buyer's agent. My first full year in the business, I sold 49 homes. 48 of those were buyers. As the business has grown and as I've evolved in the business, I've shifted into listing heavy. So finally last year I broke into 51% listings, 49% buyers.
Congratulations.
Thank you. The goal this year is to get that to 60-40 and then 70-30 the following year. So trying to make that transition into full listing heavy and then hiring buyer's agents to handle the buyer side of the business.
I love that. And I love how you're focused on doing that. And I think more people should be focused on doing that. Now guys, if you missed Joe's last episode, it was 508. You can go back there and take a look at it. We're not going to cover anything that we talked about in there. There is some rock solid stuff in there. So if you like what you hear today, go back and listen to 508. So what I want to talk to you about, Joe, is this conscious shift, because I think that most agents are stuck, right? Most agents are riddled with an addiction to buyer leads. They get stuck in this vortex of working buyers, and they don't have time to step out of the vortex and say, okay, I'm consciously now going to go after listings and become a listing agent. And you finally crossed that line after 6.5 years, actually after 4 years of doing straight buyers. And so we want to find out, like, how. So can we talk about that today?
Absolutely.
Okay, so, like, what's the first thing that you did to go from buyer agent and buyer focused to listing agent and listing focused?
Yeah, so just a little background on me personality-wise, I'm risk adverse. So I'm all about slow growth, making conscious decisions, really making sure I'm making the right growth. The first thing I did in order to make that shift was to delegate, which was to hire. So first of all, I brought on my wife as my listing coordinator. So she would handle a lot of the listing coordination. She handled a lot of the paperwork, just the processing. She's not licensed, but she just, puts the package together, gets it to the office, make sure it's uploaded through Dotloop or whatever. The second hire was Stephanie Ridgely, who came on as a sales agent. She still sells. Sold 12 houses last year, but she's now doing all my transaction management, which now it frees me up from doing those day-to-day tasks that are absolutely necessary, but not my highest skill set, to go out and, generate new leads and generate more business and follow up and close more deals. So the delegation would absolutely be the first thing. I just hired about 6-7 months ago, Eric Frisch joined my group. I have a team within the Pukula Professional Organization. So Eric Frisch came on as a full-time buyer's agent, and he's going to crush it this year. He's on fire right now.
Yeah, I think that's really cool, and I'm starting to see that a lot. I see it at Jeff Cohn's team where, he's at Berkshire Hathaway, and then he has the Omaha's elite team, and then he has a bunch of agents, and then all those agents have their own teams. And so I'm starting to see that extra layer there and retention within the team. It used to be like if you were a top agent on the team, the next step was for you to leave, right, and go out on your own. And here you have Remax, Advantage Realty, then you have the Eric Pukula team, right, one of the top teams in Remax, and then you have the Joe Bird team under the Eric Bakula team. Now, so talk to me about that. Like, how did Eric encourage you to do that, and how did you not decide to just break camp and do it on your own?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm a super loyal person. So I got my start with Eric. I appreciate everything he's given me to build my business. There's never been a ceiling within the company. So there's never been a point where I hit a wall and I can't do anymore. So as I was doing 49, 56, plus buyer or mostly buyer based business, and you sort of hit that wall, the natural progression was my wife, who was working full time, we had a child, didn't make sense for us to do daycare and her to keep that job. And again, I hit that natural, wall just within my own time, not a wall within the team, but a wall within my own time. I brought Laura on to my wife Laura on to help me kind of manage, stay at home, take care of my kid. It was just a win-win for the family and for the business. That opened my eyes to the delegation and that I can do more with my time when I'm not stuck in those other tasks. And Eric encouraged that from day one. He said, look, you should bring on another agent, maybe a showing agent. I'm not sure what that is. And one of the reasons I get along with Eric so much is he's a mastermind kind of guy. So he's not this is what you do. These are options. This is, how does this work? How do we, build off of this? So he kind of gave me that framework to say, is it a showing agent? Is it a buyer's agent? Is it an assistant? But build your business. And he said that from day one when I joined the team. This is your business underneath my umbrella. So go build your business. So I had to have that freedom to do it my way. Now we've got a bunch of team members, and we've got a couple other team members that have, their teams underneath, and they're not structured the same way as me necessarily. So it's a pretty cool, way that you can build a team within the team, the way you want to run your business and the way it works for you.
Yeah. And then you still have a mentor built in, and you still have, accountability and systems and ideas and things like that, all that are essentially family members, right?
Yeah.
Literally and figuratively, that you could tap into, and that's all you need based on your personality style. That's what you want, right?
Absolutely. And then not that you join a team solely based on leads. It's an obvious advantage of a team, but the natural, if you've got, 7 or 12 or 14 agents that are all generating business and all generating listings, the natural result of that is leads. You get sign calls, you get inquiries. The more you go out and the more you can kind of put your efforts together to go buy leads or to go do marketing or whatever it's going to be, the more leads that come from that. It sort of just creates this ever evolving spool of leads. So for us as a team, and that's one of the advantages of being on the team, is just you get extra leads, not that that's why you do it.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about this. So talk to me about, like, after 4 years, right? And you said, hey, I'm stepping out. I want to do listings, and take me through the process. Teach the people listening who maybe might be stuck, might be doing 70-30, 70 buyers and 30 sellers, or even worse, 90-10, right? Buyers, 10% sellers, and they want to go to above 50-50, which you're obviously 51%, which is brilliant. You passed that goal, and then hopefully this year you'll be 60-40, 60% listings and 40% sellers. So first of all, number one, why did you want to change?
Well, then why did I want to change? I think the listing side of the business is by far the more profitable side of the business. As you get to the point where you're selling 50 plus homes, time is your biggest asset. At that point, you've got the skills, you've got the lead generating skills, you've got the closing skills. If you're doing that much business, then you're able to do it. So time becomes your biggest asset. Buyers take a lot of time. I actually like the buyer side of the business from an emotional standpoint. I love the idea of, the rush of making an offer and getting accepted, negotiating, and getting especially like a first time home buyer in their dream home. I think emotionally that's a lot of fun. But from a time perspective, it sucks a lot of time. So from a profitability standpoint, listings, yes, you pay up marketing up front. Yes, it's more competitive. Yes, all that, but you're going to spend less time to generate, more commissions or the same commissions. You can also, typically, I find that with listings, your average sales price goes up, whereas buyers, your average sales price tends to go down. I don't know if that's just our market or just
okay. So let's stop you right there. So say that again and give me your thought on why that is, because that's interesting.
Well, I think a lot of the buyer business you get is more reactive. So you're responding to inquiries that are coming in, whether that be Zillow or whatever, whatever that source of business is, whereas listings are a little bit more proactive. I'm out there looking for listings. Some of that's your typical lead source stuff, but some of that is work in my database, work into my sphere, where when a buyer comes to you, they say, this is my price point. When you go after a listing, you're helping them set the price point, and you're, targeting the higher end properties.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the how-to. So how did you go from buyers to sellers?
Well, I wish I could say I was an absolute genius. I think a lot of it was just organic and natural. So as I built the book of business, selling 50 plus homes a year for the first 4 years, 49 the first year, and 50 plus thereafter, I built a huge database of buyers that I had sold properties to. What happens 4, 5, 6 years after the buyer buys their first house? They go to upgrade. So they then buy a house, or they go to sell a house and they buy a house. So that was a natural progression of just, busting my hump in the first 4 years with buyers and run around 7 days a week, 12, 14-hour days to build that book of business. And that book of business naturally led to the listings. Now, a lot of them had buyer sides, which is why I think I'm kind of in that 50-50 mark right now, is because a lot of them are double, where I'm helping them sell and I'm helping them buy. And then part of that also is my own sphere of influence is at the point now where they're not first-time home buyers, whether they bought a house before I was in the business or when I was very new in the business, they didn't trust me, and they're selling. They've seen everything I do because I stay top of mind with both my past client and my sphere of influence, mostly just through Facebook updates and treating Facebook as an extension of myself. And I am a businessman, so posting business on my Facebook page is a very natural thing to do because that is part of my life. And then getting those people to come back to me, even though they worked with other agents in the past. And I think all that is just a very natural, organic way to get into the listing business.
You mean getting those people to come back to you, even though they've worked with other agents in the past? That means adopted past clients, or like, who are you talking about by that? Like if you bring a buyer to a house that another agent has listed, is that what the people you're talking about?
No, more what I'm talking about is my sphere of influence. So
your sphere of influence. Okay.
Sphere of influence. So they may have bought a house 10 years ago.
Right, because you haven't been in the business that long. So, right. Okay.
Right. They remember their agent, but they see everything that I've done and all my soft brags I make on Facebook and just the top of mind that I keep on that. And they go, hey, it's time for us to sell and, buy a house. We liked our old agent, but Joe is killing it. I mean, we should probably go to him.
Right.
So, and just getting those natural listings that way.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into your stats, because I know that's one of the things you're great about is tracking and keeping stats, and I think everybody should do this. So okay. So let's talk about the last 12 months or so. So how many houses did you sell?
So in 2017, so January 1 to December 31st, between Eric Fresh, Stephanie Ridgely, and myself, we closed 119 homes. Out of those 119, I personally closed 103. And the team filled in the rest. Now, Eric was just a couple, months on the team in there, so Stephanie closed 12 of those. Our total 119 sales, we finished just under 40 million in closed volume, 39,833,550 to be exact.
Love it.
And what's cool about that is on the listing side, which was 51% of my business. On the listing side, I averaged 16 days on the market and 99.2% of my list price when we closed.
That's great. Now, do you share that with sellers?
I do, absolutely. So I have a listing presentation. That was a change I made in 2017. Before that, I would walk into a listing with a smile and a contract and get listings. So in 2017, I made a big push to really make a really fantastic presentation to sit down and goes through. And it goes through stats, it goes through reviews, it goes through all that. So I have a sheet in my listing kit that basically breaks down what each year looks like.
Okay, so
I'm happy to share with everyone.
I want you to think about the word toolbox. What is a toolbox? A toolbox is a box full of tools that you use to build something great. At Real Estate Rockstars, we've created our own free toolbox. So everybody that comes on the show as a guest brings a tool with them, and we plow them all into this toolbox, and we give it away for our viewing audience to basically use as they wish. Everything we put in there is an actionable item that can be downloaded, can be printed, can be used immediately. And we got things like scripts and dialogues, checklists for teams, checklists to keep agents accountable, referral forms that are filled out at settlement to get referrals by your buyers and sellers. Everything you could think of that you could use on a regular basis about real estate is included in this toolbox, and it's helping agents worldwide sell more houses and make their jobs a lot easier and processes much more efficient. And the thing is, it's absolutely free. All you got to do is go to hibandigital.com/toolbox or text the word toolbox to 444-999. That's toolbox 444-999. Do it now. Yeah, that'd be great. Hold that up again to the screen. So, guys, I don't know if you're watching this on video because iTunes has video now, or you're listening to it, as most people do. So what he's got is 2017 home sales, 119 homes, 40 million in volume, 16 days on the market, 99.2% of list to sale price, statewide. 53 days on market, 97.9 list to sale price. So he's got the statewide, then he's got his, and then he's got photos of all of his homes, like a collage of all the homes sold. And those are homes you represented buyers at and listed or just listed?
These are just the listings that I sold on this sheet here.
That's awesome. Yeah. So he's got pictures of homes, social proof, taking up like a half of the page or a third of the page going down, which I love. That's good. And so tell me about that. Tell me about the listing presentation, what you do and how you present that.
Yeah, so the listing presentation kind of starts off just with a quick thank you. I made a nice play on words. My wife, who's a marketing person, helped develop this, so it's a bird's eye view to selling your home. So it goes through the bios, the team, it goes through the coolest stats, number one RE/MAX team is talent, and I've got 3 pages that really jump out that are just really reviews of me that's got the property that I sold. And then it jumps into, what I do is I go through 3 years worth of stats just to show the seller. This was not a one-off. This is a development of my business. So it goes through 2015 where I sold 66 homes, 2016 where I sold 103, 2017 where I sold 119. It shows the average days on market going down, shows my comparison to the state average, and then there's kind of a summary snapshot which says, okay, over the last 2 years, and I'm just redeveloping my 2018 strategy right now, but over the last 2 years, I averaged 99.2% versus the average in the market of 97.9%. So it's 1.3% more. So on a $350,000 house, which is the average in our marketplace, that's $4,550 more in your pocket in 5 weeks less marketing time, which is 1.5 mortgage payments, or
you
quarter
say
mortgage payments. So add in the average. Yeah. So try to break it down to them on a.
I like that. I like the mortgage.
How much more do I make? Yep. So. Yeah. And it just really helps kind of separate me from my competition. I'm just taking the average. I'm just taking the stats in the MLS and running an average. Just compare me to that. My favorite part about this part of the presentation is when my wife was helping me develop this. She goes, "Well, what are your average stats? How much are you getting on your listings?" And I said, "I really don't know. I've never tracked that stat. I track everything else. I've never really tracked that stat, and I've always taken a very individual approach to each listing. I try not to." Conveyor belt. I try not to manufacture my sales process. I really try to take an individual for every client because every client's needs are different. So I said, I've never really tracked it. And I said, tell you what, you run the stats, compare me to the average on the market. If it's great, tell me about it. If it's not good, tell me you never got around to running it because I don't want to know because it's going to just be in my head. And so she called me. She goes, you're kidding, right? Like you're not really, you knew what this stat was. I said, no. And she goes, this is, back in 2016, she goes, you averaged 99.7% in 2016 of your list price. You didn't realize that? And I said, no, I had no idea. I really look at it as an individual process for each client. So now that I know that, now I can market that. Now I can use that to win listings.
I love it. I love having you have it all prepared and ready, and you have all your, past sales, even though if they're not relevant to this house or this neighborhood, and the reviews. So tell me about that. So what do you do? Just print out your Zillow reviews, or what do you print out?
Yeah, so I've got reviews kind of sprinkled throughout this as like just kind of a stop to show people that I sell all kinds of different properties and all kinds of things. So in the listing, we kind of created, a big picture of the house. It's like a whole page, and then it's the text copied from the Zillow reviews. And then one of the last pages of the presentation is actually a couple bubbles. I don't know, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bubbles that are copy and pasted from Zillow. And then on the bottom left corner, it's an actual screenshot of my Zillow page where it says Joseph S. Bird, member of the Pool of Professionals, Average 5 out of 5 stars, 101 reviews, 96 sales in the last 12 months. And then it says, see over 100 plus reviews of Joe, and it gives the link so they can go to Zillow and really see it. So they know that it's not coming from me. I'm not manufacturing these. These are actual posted reviews. And I like to tell my sellers when we're sitting at the table, or we're sitting at the, at their house, at their dining room table, going over the listing and what I'm going to do to sell their house, is that all I do to get reviews is send one email to my past clients and say, hey, it would really help me build my business if you could leave a review of our experience. I don't offer these $10 Starbucks cards that a lot of people do. I don't bribe them. I don't, pester them with 1,000 emails. I literally send them one email. I might hit resend when I go in the next time to do it if they didn't respond. And I've gotten 101 of my 450 past clients to get on there and take the time out of their day to give me reviews, which I think is really awesome.
Is there anything consciously you're doing, to switch over to the listing business, or to get more listings, or do more listings, or is it just a different focus? I mean,
well, so I told you it's organic, and then the second side of it, which I alluded to in the beginning, was delegating and hiring the buyer's agents to handle a lot of that buyer business.
I got you. Yeah, so getting out of that yourself. Yeah, but at the same time, 103 deals you did yourself, right? Which is crazy. I mean, and so I think a couple of things. First of all, it seems like the cap of something you're able to do yourself without a team, for people wondering, is 103 deals, because 2 years in a row you kind of capped there, and then the buyer's agents really only did 12 of the deals on top of that. So that's an interesting cap. I mean, that's like 8 deals a month or so. That's pretty good. That's a pretty busy lifestyle.
Absolutely. And hiring Stephanie to come on board as my transaction manager has been absolutely vital to that growth. She's licensed, like I said, she sells 12 houses, and she's dealing with a lot of the transaction management, but more than just a, paper pusher processor. She's actually involved. I'm still the face. My client, gets emails from her and gets updates from her, but I'm still the one that's negotiating the appraisals and all that. But she's behind the scenes making sure we're on track.
And so let's talk a little bit about your ECI, all right? Your ego commission income, as we like to say on the show. What was your ECI in the last 12 months?
541 was
the 541. And what'd you keep of that?
That's the one stat that I don't track as well as I should. I mean, when I say GCI, that's the income. That's my taxable. That's on my W-9. That's what comes to me, or 1099. That's what comes to me
you after Eric Bakula gets his piece and Remax gets their piece and everything. That's already taken out, you mean?
And right, okay, and referrals go out. I don't track the big number because it would only depress me.
So you track kind of a cost of goods sold, which is your commissions coming from the team, and then all your only expenses are Stephanie and and your wife, and right, that's it.
Yeah. Basically, my expenses are Stephanie and my wife. I do some of my own marketing on my own listings, so I probably spend maybe $100 a month in marketing, extra marketing. So running some Facebook ads, which are marketing a listing and generating leads, promoting open houses and things like that. My licensing dues and MRIS dues and that kind of stuff. Beyond that, that's pretty much my expenses.
Yeah. So what's the market like in your area?
Market right now is incredibly good. Inventory is just missing. It's just gone. Buyer demand is high. So my December, at least personally, was really slow, and which is a great time to be slow. Holiday season, spend time with family. I wasn't upset. I was a little nervous, but not upset. But coming into January, I closed 7 deals in January, closed, 2 deals yesterday. So closed 7 in January. I've got 12 going into February. So, just incredibly busy. Listings are flying off the shelf. Most of my listings are selling, 3 days, multiple offers. So if it's a well-priced house that presents well, it's gone. You're getting multiple offers and you're selling real quick. If it's overpriced or it doesn't present well, it's not going to sell. So we kind of are running in a double market where it either sells in the first week or it takes 60, 90 days to sell.
It's still not bad, 60, 90 days. But I'm the tale of two markets.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, cool. So let's talk some technology. What technology is new and exciting for you?
So we actually made a big push into January into some technology. So really kind of beefing up the database. So As I mentioned in the last show, I'm a Lion Desk user, and really kind of diving further into Lion Desk and everything that it can do. We started using a company called 5 Street for lead routing. So, and this is team wide. So this would, big team, Eric Pakula team wide. So when leads come in, whether again, they're from Zillow or whatever source they're coming from, it's sort of round robin, or it doesn't round robin. It actually blasts it to everyone on the team, and your phone buzzes, your email buzzes. So speed to lead is the name of the game in leads. And we kind of realized
5 minutes. Now it's 5 seconds.
Yeah. So we kind of realized that Eric would be in charge of giving out the leads. Well, Eric might be in a listing appointment.
Yeah.
And so lead comes in right when he walks in. 2 hours later, he blasts it out. I might be in an appointment at that point. So it might be 4 or 5 or 6 hours before that person gets contacted. So we started to realize, okay, let's use this other software to blast out the leads. Whoever grabs the lead is calling right then and there. So they're getting the speed to lead. Plus the 5 Street system sends out a text, and it's something, I don't know the exact number, but it's something like 2.7 minutes after the lead hits, they get a text message. So it's really timed, so it looks real. And it says, hey, thanks for the inquiry. Our team's in receipt. Is there a particular time that'd be best for us to call you? And then 7.3 minutes, they get an email. Hey, I sent you a text. Just wanted to see if there's a better time. And all that's happening in the background while the lead's kind of getting routed and the agent's grabbing the lead and setting up the phone, getting ready to give that person a call. We get response to those texts all the time. So it's a really good system. And those leads are getting speed to lead. And we're seeing the conversion on those go way up already, just in a 1 month little kind of trial of this.
So do all the agents on the Eric Pakula team get the response when they text back? And, the text says, hey, when would be a good time to call? And then they say 2 o'clock. Does everyone get that 2 o'clock?
No, whoever claimed the lead is the one that gets the response.
So you got to claim it.
Yeah, so the lead,
claimed it? Yeah.
Well, then it will keep sending back out until somebody claims it. So every, I think, 5 minutes, it rebroadcasts the lead to everyone on.
So you could literally be on the phone with someone else.
Somebody claim it.
You could claim a lead, and then they get a guy that says, call me at 2. And you're like, cool.
Yep, exactly. And so we're getting that speed to lead. We're getting that immediate communication, which is increasing the conversion even just in that first month. Anytime you implement a new, strategy or a new technology, there's always growing pains that come from that and getting everyone up on board and up to speed on it. We also started using something called Next App, NEKST, which is basically a transaction management process, but it's pretty cool. It brings the buyer in, the seller in, the buyer's agent, the listing agent, the title company, the lender, and it do these checklists and these tasks of when are things due, so that your seller can log in anytime and go, okay, I feel like I should be doing something. What should I be doing? Oh, I never would do those HOA docs. Let me do that right now because that's outstanding as a task to them. Or when was loan commitment due again? And boom, loan commitment's due in 5 days. And it sends us daily reminders every morning of, hey, on this transaction, your loan commitment's due in 5 days. Reach out to the lender and get an update. So
I love that. That's Next App. It's kind of like Settlement Room or some of those others.
Yeah.
It puts everything there in front of it, and it kind of gamifies it a little bit so that the seller and the buyer have to do things on the checklist in addition to the agent being worried about it all the time.
Exactly. So my big push right now is to try to generate systems that just streamline the process. So we know what has to happen, when it has to happen. There's no, what do we do here? And ultimately, even though that's a little more legwork to get it all organized and set up now, it's going to free up so much time down the road to go and give you more business. So
yeah, I mean, this is the year to start really leaning on IT rather than human beings. I mean, it's more and more each year because they'll be so much more efficient, and there's so much stuff coming out. I mean, I know just from Rebus University and the podcast, it's like every month we're buying into a new system that just takes away a little bit of a human being's job, and it's so much more efficient and streamlined and cheaper. So it's just okay. So your wife ran the stats, and you were like shocked, and you're like, hey, I need to start using this regularly everywhere I go because this is some A+ material to use.
Absolutely. I mean, the best thing you can use this for is like you're sitting down with the seller. First of all, it shows the seller that, okay, you know what you're talking about because you've sold 100+ homes. So you've done this before. B, you know how to price them because you're selling them in 16 days and you're getting 99.2%. So it's an immediate objection handler built right into the listing presentation that handles the objection before they make it of, well, I want to to price high and see what happens, because you're handling it by saying, look, when you price them right, you sell them in 16 days and you get your list price. And then if you couple that with telling the tale of two markets and say, look, what I'm seeing in the marketplace today is you sell in the first 10 days and you're going to get pretty darn close to list price, if not list price or not more, or you're going to be on the market for 3 months or more and you're going to have to go through a 1 or 2 or 3 price reductions, and then the buyers aren't going to give you list price. So which do you want to be? Do you want to be on the market for 90 days and have to reduce price and not get what you want? Do you want to price it aggressively from day one and get your number and not have to deal with showings? I mean, the perfect example, I just put a seller on the market. We were on the market for 3 days. We put the house on the market the day that they left to go on a cruise.
Okay.
Had them under contract in 3 days. Had the inspection done before they got back. They're going to get back and everything's going to be done. And they never had to deal with the 3 kids and showings and all that kind of stuff.
I want you to think about the word toolbox. What is a toolbox? A toolbox is a box full of tools that you use to build something great. At Real Estate Rockstars, we've created our own free toolbox. So everybody that comes on the show as a guest brings a tool with them, and we plow them all into this toolbox, and we give it away for our viewing audience to basically use as they wish. Everything we put in there is an actionable item that can be downloaded, can be printed, can be used immediately. And we got things like scripts and dialogues, checklists for teams, checklists to keep agents accountable, referral forms that are filled out at settlement to get referrals by your buyers and sellers. Everything you could think of that you could use on a regular basis about real estate is included in this toolbox. And it's helping agents worldwide sell more houses and make their jobs a lot easier and processes much more efficient. And the thing is, it's absolutely free. All you got to do is go to hibandigital.com/toolbox or text the word toolbox to 444-999. That's toolbox 444-999. Do it now. That's the way to do it. That's how I sold my houses too. Is we went on vacations. You know what I mean? My personal houses, and matter of fact, Eric sold one of my houses way back in the day. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so here's the struggle, and I'm hoping other people out there may be facing the same struggle. You were just talking about it, but I want to elaborate on it, right? So you have a tale of two markets. You got a crappy market, right, where houses aren't selling as fast, and then you got a market where they're selling lickety-split with multiple offers. And so you have to kind of walk that line and decide, do I give these people an expectation that all these people are going to come bum rushing through the first weekend and they're going to get multiple offers, or do I give them an expectation that, hey, if nobody bites after 60 days, we're going to have to drop the price? Like, how do you know which market you're in? I mean, is it just a matter of, how do you, I guess that's the question. Just answer it. How do you know?
Yeah, well, so first of all, you got to look at the comps. And if all the houses in the neighborhood are taking 60, 90, 100 days, well, your neighborhood's in the secondary market. It's in that slower market. So now you either just have to deal with it, and it is what it is, or you've got to go real aggressive on the price to, supersede or overcome that market. If your comps show that everything's selling in 20, 30 days, 15 days, 10 days, 3 days, 1 day, well, now you're in that first market. And now you've got to look at your active inventory and say, okay, are they sitting? So is the market shifting, or is it staying flat, or is it getting better? And how do I price in comparison to those comps? And really tell the seller. I mean, I don't want to overpromise anything to my seller. I don't want to say, if you listed this house, I'm going to sell it in 3 days. But I say, look, you have a much better chance if you list at this price here to be sold in 3 days. If you list at this price here, I don't want to hear you complain until we're 6 months on the market. And if we list at this middle price, then, I think we should be kind of at the end of that first market, 2-3 weeks on the market and being sold pretty quick. So give them the options, put everything out, and let them make the decision so they own their decision. But really kind of giving them examples and stories and selling with stories of how my other clients have seen success or not seen success in all those strategies.
Yeah, that's got to be tough. It's got to be tough, especially if some of them are like, oh, well, I know this guy and he's not in the same neighborhood. He's in a different neighborhood, a different zip code, a different school district, but he plays poker, plays tennis with this guy, and he's like, oh yeah, his house sold in a day, and you sold it. Let's say Ed was the, you were Joe was the listing agent. I mean, he's like, so I want you to do that for me too.
Right. And again, I think you just got to show the comps and show what the comps aren't going to lie. Numbers don't lie. So, Mr. Seller, I completely understand what you're saying. And if your house was in that neighborhood, we'd be having a totally different conversation. But I'm a big believer in the facts are the facts, and all I can do is help you strategize based on the facts in front of us. Let's take a look at these comps. These comps in your neighborhood are taking longer to sell. So no matter what we do, no matter where we price it, we're not selling in a day, because that's unless we significantly discount it. But what I want to do is strategize on how to get it sold in 30 days, not 100 days, and present the facts that way. Yeah.
So let's say that the listing is in the market that's good, right? Yeah. And they're interviewing 4 people, right? Mm-hmm. Which I know happens in good markets, right? And the oldest trick in the book and a strategy that works, right? Let's face it, it works, is to overprice the home, right? How do you compete with that? How does Joseph Bird deal with that situation? Do you go along with it and just overprice the home too? Or do you walk away? Or how do you deal with that?
No, I mean, I don't want to take an overpriced listing. If I don't think it's going to sell near that price, I don't want to take it. Now, have I been wrong? Sure, we're all wrong. Sometimes it's a contemporary house, and I love contemporary houses, and I value it a little bit more than the next person. So, there's always going to be something you miss on. But no, I don't want to take an overpriced listing. Will I bump it a couple grand, $5 grand higher than I really want to list it at? Sure. $5 grand's not going to probably make a huge difference on whether it sells. It may make a difference on how much you get for it, how much of the percentage you get, but it's not going to make a huge difference on whether it sells. So, but I just am a big believer in brutal honesty and tell the seller, you're going to have an agent that's going to walk in the door and they're going to want to overprice it. What I want you to do is ask them, what's their list price to sales price ratio? And in fact, there's an app called HomeSnap, which is owned by MRIS, which is our multiple list here. And it's a consumer-facing version of the multiple list. It's actually a fantastic app. And on the pro version, which agents have, it shows you what the stats are, what agent stats are.
It does. It shows you. It will show you your list price to sale price and Craig Northrop's list price to sale price and Bob Lucido's list price to sale price. So you could go to pull up HomeSnap and just give it to your seller, hand a phone to the seller and say, let's compare apples to apples.
Yeah, so I had a listing appointment. It was going back like 6 months ago. I knew they were interviewing 3 or 4 agents. I didn't ask who they were interviewing. I didn't know who they were interviewing. I said, I don't want to know who you're talking to. What I'm going to hand you this app, and I'm going to go over to the other room and take a look at the kitchen again and see what's over there. I want you to look up whoever it is, compare their numbers, close out of it. It doesn't show me. I don't believe it shows me a browse history or anything like that. Look it up, look up my numbers, and come back. And I walked in the room and said, all right, where do we sign? Because I was able to prove to them that I know my market. I know what I'm doing here. So it's a way that you can compete with the other agents without having to throw anyone under the bus. I don't even know who they were talking to.
That's brilliant, because it seems so prying, to say, okay, well, who are you talking to? Almost like a personal vendetta thing. Like, I'm going to get them, right? Like, does it really matter? No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter, to the seller's price, the seller's, the marketing plan you're going to give them, all of that stuff. It doesn't matter. So it only matters to you, the agent, as like a personal thing. You want to know who they're talking to. So that's a great strategy. Just hand them the app and say, I don't know. I don't want to know. It doesn't matter. All my clients get treated the same. I'm not going to change my commission. I'm not going to change my price. I'm not going to change my marketing plan for anybody, because it's just not fair. So go ahead. I'm going to take some notes. I'm going to relook at your finished basement. Type them in, and we'll come back. That's the most brilliant strategy I've heard in a long time.
And there's no better way to handle the commission reductions, objection. Well, so-and-so said they'll do it for, 1% less. Okay, well, I've just shown you that I net my clients 2% more than the average agent. So they're going to do it for 1% less, but I'm going to get you 2% more. So you're actually going to net 1% more with me than the average agent in the marketplace.
And what do you think you're doing to maintain that?
in order to be able to achieve those numbers?
Yeah, I mean, a cliche answer is I'm a better negotiator, but what's the answer? Yeah.
So I think it's not what I do, it's what other agents don't do. So it's the fact that I am there every step of the way. I don't hand people off to somebody else. Like I said, I've got a team that supports me, but they're not getting handed off to somebody else. So I'm literally negotiating every step of the way, and I don't have to start over in the negotiation to go, okay, what do you care about? When do you want to settle again? Because I know all that kind of stuff, and I can just start negotiating right off the bat. Market it properly, professional photography. I mean, just all the super simple stuff. I mean, in my listing presentation, there's a story about a couple that I sold their house. They were on the market a year with somebody else. I took the listing. I dropped the price $2,000. I didn't drop it significantly. I dropped it $2,000 just to kind of make it look fresh, and sold it in 30 days. And the theme of the feedback and their feedback was, I don't know what the other agent didn't do or what Joe did differently. Always that Joe got it done. And I looked at it. All I did was I listed, I marketed, and I handled objections, and I negotiated. It's what I do for every day. So I think it's what other agents don't do.
I love that, dude. I love that. Well, let's wrap this up with talking about what your free gift is today. As you know, everybody that comes on the show brings a free gift that our agents that listen, our Rockstar Nation, can utilize in their day-to-day business. I think you got a couple of things. So what are you going to give today?
Yeah, so I'm going to give a couple pages out of my listing presentation from what we've talked about today, which is comparing your stats to the average. So it's the same thing I held up, and then the comparison over a multi-year period, and then the breakdown at the bottom. That means, I generate more, just 2% more for my sellers over, in 6 weeks or 5 weeks less time. So I'm redeveloping that for 2018 this week. So I'll get you guys the PDF here shortly, and happy to share that with the whole base.
That's awesome. And guys, I'm going to put this on hibandigital.com/Joe Bird 2. That's hibandigital.com/Joe Bird 2. If you haven't heard Joe's first interview, go back. It's about a year ago. Go back and take a listen. And this is going to be great. I'm going to put all his information there so you could reach out to him yourself. And of course, I'm going to put his free gift there, as well as I will put it in the Agent Success Toolbox, which can be found at hibandigital.com/toolbox, or just text the word toolbox to 444-999. Joe, this has been fun, buddy. Next time I'm in Maryland, we'll have to get together and break some bread for sure.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for watching Real Estate Rockstars. Please give us a review wherever you're watching or wherever you're listening. We eat feedback for breakfast, and I don't care whether you give me a 1-star review or a 5-star review. I just want the review. I want to know what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. Would love to improve things. Hey, and listen, please subscribe. The more subscribers we get and the more reviews we get, the better guests we'll get for you in the future. Feel free to reach out to me anywhere on social media. Just type in my name. I'm everywhere, and I look forward to meeting you in the digital world. Have a great day, and thanks again for listening to Real Estate Rockstars.